interest, have any of you got an electric car? Is anyone in the audience? You don't own a car? Oh, right. Well, you're very. There's one in the audience. Is that two? Still not many at the moment. We've only got a few minutes left. We've got to be out of here by 3. But I think there's a couple of questions come in that I think are really interesting, and they're both on similar themes. So I guess I'll start with you, Kate, on these and come to it later. Should we not be focusing efforts to avoid the need for travel? This would appear to be a more efficient way to achieve our goals of cutting congestion, air pollution. And a second one, do cities want to move from dirty congestion to clean congestion? Is the phasing out of petrol, diesel the opportunity to establish new travel behaviours? I mean, effectively just saying, forget changing how you travel, change the fact that you need to travel. How realistic is that, Kate, do you think?
Well, I think it's very realistic to be looking at behaviours and how people operate and the choices that they make. Tom made a comment there around leadership and learning from our children. I think that's absolutely true, and it's really interesting how they're creating a nudge around our behaviours, but I absolutely don't want to rely on that youngest generation coming through to create great change. We need to be leaders too, but behavioural change is absolutely at the heart of what we need to do. And when we're thinking about how we reuse urban road space, a lot of that is around behaviours, around how people use cities and how they will in future.
Alistair, I'll come to you. Don't we need to get out and travel, though? Isn't it just sort of innate in a human being, that sort of social element, going into an office and interacting with people?
I think there'll always be an element of that. So yes, I agree. But if you look at the range that most people travel, particularly within an urban environment, it's actually very short distances, a lot of it, and the most sustainable form of travel is active travel. Okay, so what we haven't done consistently anyway is actually develop, as a Cardiff example, a genuinely safe active travel network, and looked at it in the same way that we'd look at developing a Crossrail or a HS2. And we need to articulate the benefits around that kind of capital investment, and delineate cycle paths from the main roads, and do serious things there. And I think if we do go down that route, and each city needs to kind of really look hard at the provision it's putting in for active travel, we can achieve we can still get to work, or the majority of us, a lot of us can, but we can do it genuinely sustainably. But we don't articulate the business case in the same sense that we would even for a mass transit system or a light rail system or whatever. Yeah.
Carlo, there's been a lot of talk about finding out what the people want, being people-focused. How do you know what people want? Is it all actually down to data that you're going to get off people's phones in the end, rather than going out and physically talking to people in a survey or whatever? Is it seeing those mass patterns?
I think it's a bit of a balance between the top-down sort of programmatic approach that Tom was talking about, but also kind of new bottom-up approaches. And I think that's where data and the technological tools that we have to manage that data enables us to really open up the process from the early stage. So we can invite future residents, future users to really participate in the designing and thinking process for the new places and cities, exactly trying to understand how to bring together and change the movement patterns. And I think one element I'm really passionate about is trust. I think there's a massive issue nowadays in society, I think in general, about trust. And I think we need to collectively come out with new technological change, new tools to really establishing quickly trust mechanisms. And for instance, Rachel Botsman's work, she wrote a couple of books about trust. Actually, there's an MSc in Cambridge University about trust. So it's a big topic. And actually, if you think about the whole sharing economy, it's about trust economy, because we invite people in our places, we jump on a car or a stranger. So that's all about trust. And I think that's the focus for ourselves.
This is going to be a final question, I think, but I just want to ask you two about Cardiff specifically. What did Cardiff do to make this happen? What did they have to do? Was it just they had the will to make it happen and then everything else fell into place, or was there something bigger than that? What was the secret?
I think it's a combination of what's happening with society, the pressure from client.
Well, I think one thing Olive did really well is set a target. Yeah. We saw it here, 50% of sustainable journeys. And that was something very clear. It was something simple that people could understand, both in a wide range of communities, and that enabled everyone to fall behind a plan that achieved it. And when there's a will and there's an understanding of something, then everything's possible.
So if you could give one piece of advice to a city that wanted to go down a similar road, what would you say to them?
Keep it simple. Keep the message simple. Make it understandable for the politicians. You want your politicians to be able to explain it to their residents, to be able to get the buy-in from their constituents, and that's the key. And then you can move forward then. Yeah.
It's really stimulating stuff from all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming, and please thank our panel.